Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser. Friday morning, we are Reckless. Reckless is back in effect on a Friday morning. The Reckless crew is back as well. Anan is back in the house. What's happening?
Just feeling as reckless as ever, and haven't watched any football in over a week, so that's pretty reckless within itself right there. So let's see if I have any clue what we're talking about today.
I mean, you never
like
have any
most
clue
weeks.
what we're talking about.
Like most weeks, and now, fella, nothing changes.
That's also true. So we're in business, baby.
Exactly. No change there, then.
And Kazi doing the night shift, doing the morning shift. What's happening?
Yeah, bro, I'm good, yeah. I had a bit of fun last night with the old Thursday crew. It's always nice to join their show, and that's normal service is resumed, isn't it, on this day?
Yes, back in action. A lot to talk about. So I'll kind of like leave some of the Liverpool stuff because that will work into the Fulham game. But let's hit a couple of headlines really fast. I don't think we got a chance to talk about this. I don't know if you guys got a chance yesterday. I only caught a couple of minutes, so I'll listen to the rest of the show this morning as I work. But you are our Middle Eastern media experts over here on staff here, Anan. So what is the Egyptian media saying about this? No, like, what do you make of it? I mean, it was kind of like bound to happen anyway. Is there any shock?
I think everybody knew it was going to happen. I don't think there was any shock, surprise, or I was like, oh, okay, cool, thanks, move on. So yeah, no surprises there.
Yeah.
I mean, when we went to Qatar, right? There was like a lot of talk. I think we talked about this with Gordo once, where like, everybody was like, we kind of realized that we're kind of like addicts, right? So wherever they go, whatever they do, whether it's human rights or this in Qatar, I think it was a lot about how the stadiums were built and stuff like that. I don't think that will be as much of a thing in Saudi Arabia.
It will be.
They're a bit more prepped.
It will be. It's going to be a lot worse, actually. But it's funny. This whole Saudi Arabia World Cup thing they put it in motion as soon as the Qatar World Cup ended. Because the Saudis and the Qataris hate each other. So like, oh wait, if they're doing it, we're doing it too. So here, now we're going to sign Ronaldo. Now we're going to sign all these guys. And then in a year, make them the face of our bid. And we'll get it. And also going to 2034 was essentially almost uncontested. I don't know if you guys noticed, FIFA Congress didn't even do a vote. It was like, okay, so Saudi Arabia. And then everybody went.
I think everybody saw the Saudi bid and they were like, why freaking waste our time?
And then I don't know if you guys saw the actual bid itself, but 2 stadiums don't even exist. Which is fine, but they're in the middle of the desert. One of the stadiums that they're building is literally in the desert. And they're like, oh, it's okay. We're going to build a city around it by 2034. And it's the heart of the desert. It's like, yeah, there's a whole city coming, so don't worry. It's a desert now, but in 2034, it's going to be a city.
I mean, listen, I'm very conflicted on this. I really am. And I think every country has a right to host the World Cup. It is the World Cup. And I do think, it's very difficult and it's a very hard subject to talk about, really. But Saudi Arabia have been making bids for different sports in the last 5 to 10 years. So, for example, boxing is huge over there right now. They're putting every big boxing fight on possible. Fury Usyk is there next week from the rematch, paying them billions to basically come over there and do the fight. And I felt like this with Dubai 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And then Dubai has become, I don't want to say more westernized, but it probably is the right word right now because I can't think of a better word. Maybe more up to date in terms of how people live in the normal world or the rest of the world, let's say. So, for example, in Dubai now, I think there's certain parts where you can drink and there's certain parts where you can sunbathe. And, it's a lot more forefronted. So, in that sense, do we open our doors up to try and get change and affect change? And it has worked with Dubai as a case study. Will it work with Qatar? I don't know. Will it work with Saudi? I don't know. But I just think there's a part where you can't just keep shutting countries out in a weird way. Because if it'd be like that, gents, there's atrocities all over the world in different countries. Russia had the World Cup. The US is having a World Cup. And we don't need to say the atrocities that all countries build. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's... I just think it's very difficult, man. I really do. you know, in terms of the football side of this, I love that Winter World Cup. Thought it was tremendous. And if we're going to get another one, I'm all in on it. In terms
Really?
of, yeah, I loved it. I loved that Winter World Cup over Christmas. I thought it was fucking fantastic. The Qatar World Cup. And by the way, the quality was towards the end was really good. It's one of the best ever finals in history of football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, in some ways, the players are not as worn out by the time.
Exactly, that's what I mean as well. But also, I do think, and I love a Christmas Premier League. I really do. I think it's tremendous. I love Christmas football. Boxing Day football in England is the best day of the year. And I love that. But I did love a World Cup. I did love it. I was obsessed with it. Actually, I thought it was tremendous. So if we get that again in terms of the football side, great. I just think I know it's hard, and again, I'm not educated enough on the matter either for me to fully comment. But I just have Dubai in the back of my head as a case study of like where you can make change.
Jordan Henderson over here. Is he back there or like making changes?
But what can you do though, Tim? We just keep closing our doors to every other country?
I mean, you can't. You know what the funny thing is? I mean, Sorzi says human rights suits people when it suits them. I mean, every country you can probably. You can have every country object to another country because let's face it, nobody's squeaky clean. I don't care where you're from. You can be here from the US. You can be Turkish like me. Anana's from different part of the world. Oz is a different part of the world.
Every government before we did. Fucking hell, 100 years ago.
No shit. Every government does all kinds of shady shit. The biggest thing, which I could not care less about, but I always see that part of it, whereas like the alcohol thing, like the headlines were, will fans be able to drink alcohol? That's like, I just don't understand why. I mean, to me, it's not the highlights of the World Cup. Is like, if you're going to the World Cup, and when it's here, I would like to go to a game, which I don't know how the hell they chose these cities over here, but that's a different story. But it's not like I'm not going to go to the game so I can get my drink on. It would be just more for the experience national teams. I'm not going to be a part of either nation or whatever, but so he says, don't understand that again. So trying to make people live to our own standards if they don't specialize them. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But I don't know. You can kind of tell this probably a bit more than me, Anan. Because fun fact, my dad used to work in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years in Jeddah. So we lived there on and off, like visiting them and stuff like that. And obviously, it's changed a lot over the last 3 decades. But isn't Saudi Arabia a bit stricter than Qatar? It used to be back in the day.
It technically used to be, because not anymore. Saudi Arabia is no longer what you know Saudi Arabia. Like, for example, a big thing that existed back then when you were there, matter of fact, it existed all up until MBS took over. They had the group of guys that drive around in a car, and if they see women out by themselves, they put them in the car and send them home. This has always existed. Like, if you go to a mall in Saudi Arabia, up until MBS took over 7 years ago, you can't go into the mall without proof that the woman with you is your wife, sister, mother, or daughter. And if you didn't have proof, that is not.
It's not in Jeddah, at least. I know Jeddah was always a bit more lighter than like.
No, we go to Saudi a lot. And like, that's one of the things it was a thing. They're called Hayat al-Ma'ruf. Like, that's what they're called. So MBS came over and he discontinued that service. It was basically a religious police. He came in, the first thing he did, he discontinued that service. He made women able to drive. He said now concerts are legal. Movie theaters became legal in 2016. So he changed it. And everybody's like, oh, wow, they got movie theaters now. Well, fast forward, it's 2024. What's the entertainment capital of the world if you really think about it? Riyadh season. Yeah. Concerts, Riyadh. Boxing, Riyadh. They bought the PFL, Riyadh. UFC cards over there, Riyadh. Formula
golf.
1, Riyadh.
Live golf, innit?
They essentially all of golf, yeah. So it's different now. Now women can go out without their head cover, which is okay. Now women can do whatever they want to do. Stadiums, women were not allowed to go to stadiums back then. I don't know if you guys noticed, but now there's sections in the stadiums of just girls, and they're all like super famous influencers and supermodels just go and watch the games, and Ronaldo and this and that. So it's completely different. Qatar is, because it's mainly locals, it's more strict. Not not by law, but by culture, because they're mainly locals over there. So they're very strict. So if you go out in Qatar, you can tell who the Qataris are because they wear their national clothes. And then the non-Qataris, you can point them out, and you would see like they don't mix, they don't combine, they don't mix, they don't do nothing. But I'll tell you this: the best World Cup I've ever watched was the Qatar World Cup. I went to the Russia World Cup. I went to the Qatar World Cup. I think they don't even compare of just the amount of fun, safety, and comfort. The Qatar World Cup just tops, honestly.
Is that like related to lack of alcohol?
A lot of people say so. I mean, when was the last time? That was actually a joke, but it's not. The first time that the English fans didn't get in any legal trouble, not a single arrest, was in Qatar. Because, they go out, which is fine. They go out, they drink, they have fun, but they end up clashing with the other guys. In Qatar, we were up till like 4:35 in the morning at a place called Souk Waqif, and everybody's just partying with each other with no alcohol, just music and drums and dancing and chanting with each other. It was so much fun. So when you put away the human rights aspect of it, it was a really good World Cup. And when they announced Saudi as the hosts, I was watching the American coverage, and they're like, well, now we have a country like like Saudi Arabia hosting the World Cup. Just years ago, we had Qatar. And then before that, we had Russia. I mean, why is it so bad? I'm like, yeah, the next one is in the U.S. I live here, I know, but we've invaded more people than anybody. We've killed more people than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, sure, nobody's squeaky clean. So this whole thing about, like bringing that is like, but at the same time, I think, I don't know, I mean, if the outrage was more about, I mean, certain people will not be able to openly go to this tournament.
Of course.
I think I would be more behind that, as opposed to the main thing being people are not going to be able to fucking drink at this tournament. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and I agree. And listen, but I would say though, what Anand just mentioned there's been massive positive changes in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And strives to move forward. This is another 10 years away. And we hope they continue to make the same kind of
that's true too.
Positivity in them, I just don't want to, again, I'm not educated enough to completely have a massive in-depth discussion about it because I'm not. I don't want to say I am. I just feel like you can't keep closing the doors to people. If people want to be open and want to try and change and want to try and move forward, then us as a society and as a Western civilization should be open to all countries wanting to hopefully do the right thing by human rights and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, here's that's true. I mean, they're gonna build a city by then, so we're talking like 10 years away. A lot can change in the 10 years, and this was like a long time coming. I figured like I would bring it up because I know I saw way too much on it online, and it's like, but not for the right reasons, as far as I'm concerned.
For the record, you can still go out and drink there, just not in stadiums. Like in Qatar, people still went out to like the hotels and like the foreign restaurants.
Can you in Saudi Arabia? That's what I mean. I didn't know.
Yeah. So in Saudi Arabia, you can. There's actual clubs and bars and taverns where you can go drink. They don't have that in Qatar. In Qatar, you have to go to restaurants or like high-end European, French.
Like $25 a beer, weren't it? In the hotel.
Yeah, it was probably expensive. Yeah. No, but here's
that's chump change for a Qatari. So that
well, for a Qatari, he's like, hello, I take your whole hotel, please, thank you. And then the other thing, not this week, the week before, Dakota Ditcheva, she's an English Bulgarian MMA fighter. She was fighting the final for the PFL belt in Saudi because Saudi essentially bought PFL. She won the fight, and after the fight, she was doing an interview with the Ariel Helwani show. And Ariel Helwani, I'm not going to go into it, but he likes to instigate anything that's Middle Eastern or Muslim related because he's from a certain place in the world that they hate each other. Anyways, so he goes, you fought your final in Saudi and you won the belt, and we saw the camera. It was on your family and friends that came from Manchester. There was a lot of them. She's like, yeah. He's like, but they can't drink. Isn't that embarrassing? Like, how are they watching MMA without drinking alcohol? That's bad. I mean, why would they even fight in Saudi? They can't have a drink. And she goes, she has got like the sexiest Manchester accent ever because she's a good looking girl. She goes, I mean, I'm not going to do it, but she goes, I'm there to fight.
Oh, damn, I was waiting for that.
She's like, I'm there to fight and there to watch me fight. And you do know that was the highest paid women's fight ever in MMA. Who gives a shit if they couldn't have a beer? And then he's like, but they're from England. They're not going to have a beer while watching you fight? She goes, and then she goes, I don't get it. And then she just stops talking. And then he right away, like, so yeah, the fight. What? Like, he didn't know what to say. And then she was asked about that in Bulgarian TV. She's like, none of them were there to drink. They were there to support me. I became the highest paid woman who's ever fought an MMA belt, and nobody gave a shit about drinks. I didn't think about it till he asked me. We didn't even think that we couldn't drink.
It's interesting, man. But they are making big strides in sport, and we have to acknowledge it. It's happening. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. I'm big into the women fighting on the card and stuff like that in boxing now, and listen, mate, if you would have said 10, 15 years ago that you're going to see two women fight in Saudi Arabia, you would have thought it was at home in a house, never mind on national TV with the two greatest fighters. And I just think if you're making positive strides and you want to change and you want to be open to change, then we all have to embrace it.
I think that's fair, and I think like that's a good point. I mean, I'm talking about when I was there, we're talking like 3 decades ago, and based on what you guys are like, like some of the things that's happening, it was probably you couldn't even imagine it back then. So we're talking another decade from now. So hopefully there'll be even more positive changes. And
I think as MBS, as his rule continues, when his dad dies, straight up, his dad is well in his mid to late 80s. As soon as his dad dies, there's a lot of things that are going to change that his dad isn't for. A lot. And he's been very clear about it. He didn't say when my dad dies, but he did say when the old kingdom and the old leaders of the kingdom move on, we're also going to move on from the ideology of how it was. Now, here's the thing. Funny enough, Muslims and like a lot of like the conservative Muslims hate it. They're like, wait a minute, Saudi's turning into Las Vegas. That's supposed to be our religious town.
Now you're speaking Qadis.
They're like, what the hell's going on? Why? Last year on New Year's night when they did
the clear first, before start, saying I'm Team Saudi,
when they did the New Year's celebration last year, Saudi paid the most money ever on a New Year's fireworks show. Prior to that, there was no New Year's celebration because the Muslim New Year is what was celebrated.
I was going to say the calendar. I mean, that's the biggest thing, but I mean that's a good point, and I think Serzi is saying too. It's changed a lot, but. Yeah, I mean, some might not like it. I mean, look, I'm from Turkey, and so if you know anything about Turkish history, it's going from basically this to that.
The Ottoman Empire to the Ottoman
one guy going from this to that. And I can tell you, while people like myself and a lot of people still worship that dude today, there are a lot of people that despise him. So I'm
just wondering, are we talking about Ataturk?
Yes.
Okay, so because they went from Ataturk to Erdogan, it's like...
I know. I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, some might not consider. We might consider it probably better and more like what Kazi was saying, like more like westernized, and if you will. But another 10 years, hopefully, as long as it's welcoming. I mean, you don't have to like it. I mean, I don't have to like how you live your life or what you do, but you do you, I do me. Is basically what I'm at. As long as we're in a society where everybody can do whatever the hell they want. I'm all happy with that. I'm not a religious person. I've said this before, and I don't care. If you are, you do you, I do me. And then as long as we can have a society where everybody can do that, we have a tournament where everybody can be themselves. That's really all I care. And I don't care if they fucking get to drink.
As long as you treat people with respect, honesty.
I just remembered. They also bought WWE.
They did.
Oh, see, $4 billion or something.
World. Oh, yeah. Premier League Manager of the Month and Player of the Month come to Liverpool with Slots and Mo. I don't know. I mean, do you guys give a lot to these? I personally could not care less. There was a lot of talk in the past, like, Klopp didn't get it, blah, 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 like agendas. Honestly, I don't even care. I don't know where you sit with all these awards, Kazi, but I personally could not care less. I don't know if the players might. They probably like, another trophy to put up there on the shelf kind of a thing. Or I don't know if, I don't see them when they get the man of the match thing. They treat it like somebody just gave them a dirty sock that they have to hold for another 5 minutes now or something like that. So
I don't care. I mean, I don't, I just don't care. No, I care about the awards that are given out in May. Like, I don't care about the ones that are given out in December. For a player having a good 4 fucking football matches or a manager managing good for 4 football matches. I just don't think it makes any sense to me. But listen, if Mo Salah's put a wonderful selfie on his Instagram of him holding the trophy on his Instagram story, so if that makes him happy, then I'm very happy. So,
wait, by the way, I just saw this, and I mean, it must be true. If it's on the internet, it must be true, right? because Surzy says more awards wins, the bigger statement for William Ballon d'Or. He is not one of the nominees for African Player of the Year.
He did not.
How the hell does that even happen, Anand? Not that I care, but if that's the thing for like winning in Ballon d'Or and stuff. How does he not even get nominated for African? Are they like, you know what? You're already the best African player. Let's share the wealth or what?
It does feel that way. I don't know if you saw the nominees, but it does feel like
It's Lookman,
you know what?
Hakimi, Simon Adingra from Brighton, and Guirassy, the kid in the Borussia Dortmund, and Ronwen Williams.
They went young names straight up. They just went, okay, the guys that keep winning it can go away, and now we give it to Ashraf Hakimi, and we just put 4 other guys next to him to make it look like it's a competition.
You don't think Lookman might win it? I think Lookman might win it for his performance in the Europa League final. I think he could win it just for that.
That is true. Didn't he get a hat trick in the Europa League final? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think he might win it just for that. You know what I mean? Delivering Atalanta the Europa League. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Surely. But
I think they went, okay, who's got trophies this year? Who's got notable goals? But yeah. And it's funny. It's so weird. I was going to say, oh my God, that's kind of weird. By the way, congratulations, Surzy, on your master's degree, guys. Our very own Surzy has earned his master's degree. Pretty awesome guy. So congratulations.
Yes. And not only he won the award, we should play that. So I'll try to see if I can find it.
Oh, come on.
We should play that, right?
Ask permission first.
Not only like he won it, he got like a plug for like American Scouts right in the award ceremony. Hold on. I'll on to air. Hopefully it'll work in a second.
And because obviously he has a master's degree now, he started to see the light. So he has been talking a lot about things that I said, and he's saying he agrees with me. So I guess a little bit of education doesn't hurt.
I just checked as well, by the way, for Lookman's season last year. Plays 45, all comps, scores 17, wins the Europa League, and it was the runner-up in the African Cup of Nations. So it's, you know what I mean? He was at Atlanta's player of the season.
We're excluding Mo and trying to get some more names in there. At least give it to these names. And Lookman would be.
I mean, if Lookman, based on last year's performance, if Lookman wins it, you go, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what you're saying there, but compared to the other nominees, to say Mo Salah's not a nominee, that's insane. I agree with that. But I mean, if Lookman wins it, I don't think.
Life goals.
Here we go.
You can also find Zahid as a regular contributor to his beloved Liverpool Football Club via American Scouts or media. We're fortunate.
Look at that. We got a plug.
He's so proud. He's like, yes, that's me. I do that too.
It looks like he's checking his ID. He's about to throw the guy out. You've had too much to drink. Not tonight, sir. Not tonight.
Yeah. Congrats, Surzy. Congrats.
Congrats,
brother. It's funny. If we looked at the monthly awards, August, September, October should have been Salah and Sloth every single month, and they didn't win it. And then they give it to them in November.
Opinions, isn't it? It's the old
so like
an arsehole thing, isn't it? Everyone's got one, and you know.
Pep won it a month ago, and Evie was like, "Wait, me? Seriously? Holy shit! Hold on, let me stop scratching my face and go get this before."
Pep has a big issue on his hands, doesn't he? Going back to actual football here. Pep has a bigger issue than you think. Do you know what's going to be Liverpool finishing top out of war? There's going to be playing Man City. You know that, don't you? Of this Champions League.
Yeah.
It's happening, honestly.
It's
looking like that we're going to play City in the knockout.
Well, the thing is, I've never seen a faster fall to grace than City and Kyle Walker. I mean, Kyle Walker's fall off of grace has been unbelievable. It could be studied of what not to do when you're a professional footballer. He's been so bad.
There's a part though, fella, right? And Kyle Walker's he's 34 years of age. I don't think it's on him. It's not on him. It's on the club to come in and replace you. That, like, you're 34, you should have a contingency plan in place to replace these players. Do you know what I mean? I just think, and the fall off has been massive. The drop off has been huge for Kyle. But and going back to the City part, I just think the drop off's been bad. Let's get it right. The recruitment in the last 3 years has not been great. They can't get a goal from a winger. You forget how many goals Sterling and Mahrez used to contribute. I know we've mentioned this before. A lot, they used to get like 20-a-year-old comps. It's like, it's a lot. And I get it's hard to find in these wingers. And that's why Liverpool are probably going to sign Mo Salah to whatever contract he wants, because they're so flipping rare to find wingers who can get you 20, 25. But that's on the club. It's on the club. And I do feel slightly sorry for Kyle Walker. I really do, mate. He's getting his ass flogged every single week. He should be coming out now.
Kyle Walker was never a good defender.
I know.
Okay, he was fast as fuck. So even when he was out of position, he could chase you and track you down. Doesn't matter how fast of a winger you were. I mean, I always like talk about Gomez like that in a way. Gomez has that speed where he can be out of position and still catch back up and be in position. I felt like, Walker, I mean, look at past our games against Walker. He's always got an error in him or like a guy running back to behind the back post with him. He just doesn't have the speed anymore. And like you're saying, Kazi, that's not his freaking fault. 34 years old, guess what? You get slower and slower.
You should be like, there's a part of this though, and I do in terms of what Pep is thinking, and I'm trying to think where the lack of investments come from. I know that sounds crazy saying about Man City, but they haven't signed many great players, and Gundogan on a free and stuff like that. They've been very careful. I think they've been very careful with the books, not knowing the result of these charges, and they're being very careful, and that's fair enough. I get that, but there's a part where you look and go, Oscar Bob was going to play a big part. I think this year, Oscar Bob's injury has really fucked him. We know Rodri, but I think he's probably looked at if Rodri's fit. Rico Lewis is playing right back, and Kyle Walker might not even be playing. Do you know what I mean? And I think Kyle Walker's probably getting his games chosen for him. But now it's needs must. It's like Gundogan. Gundogan looks finished. It's only because he wasn't meant to come back and start every single game for playing 3 games a week in very high intense football. He was meant to come in with 20 to go and play 1 week and out there. You know what I mean? And I just think it's all got a bit too much. It really has all got a bit too much. But I would be seriously concerned if I'm a City fan to not finish in the top 4. I would be seriously getting concerned.
I think the issue is, it just shows in football how momentum from game to game and overall thing is a big deal. Because honestly, if you look at it, dude, you can go to any club and pick one guy. Well, any good club, right? You can go pick one guy and say, hey, this guy is not there. Some of the other pieces fall off. I mean, we saw Arsenal when Odegaard was out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, if we didn't have Mo, which I think we've survived without Mo before during AFCON. Yeah. But if Van Dijk is not back there, I guarantee you the pieces would all fall down a little bit because he's the one that keeps everything together. Everybody has one player. I think the bigger thing is, when Rodri came out, they just can't stop the bleeding, it feels like. And that's you can tell that team has no confidence. Some of the stuff that they would do without even thinking, everything is when things are not going well, you double think everything that you do.
Yep.
And, a team like that, you can kind of tell the momentum, you can have momentum going up and you can have momentum going down, and they have major momentum going down. That 3-0 to 3-3 by itself shows a team that's the legs start shaking the moment something goes wrong. Whereas in the past, they had so much confidence. They could be down. Remember, they would be 1-0 down 70th. We still would be they're going to fucking come back and win this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's where momentum is a big thing. I understand that as well. And it's a fair point. Everything what you just said is right. I do think, though, there's a part where when you're a defender and you're struggling, you can't turn around. So, for example, when you put the ball over, Liverpool did it. They just put the ball over the top to Mo Salah and went, we'll just have you beaten in a foot race with Ake. Ake can't turn around. And he's running, and Mo's got the freedom in Anfield on the right-hand side. And that's what Liverpool's target was. When you can't turn around, and that's a very easy exposure, you need to play deeper. But he can't play deeper because he hasn't got the pace on the counter. So he can't play. He can't go to his lads. These defenders have finished. He can't play the island anymore. We're dropping 40 yards back, and we're going to play a bit of counter-attacking football because Grealish isn't quick. Doku's quick. Savinho's quick, but there's no end product. So it's okay being quick. Haaland is quick when he gets going, but he's also 6'4", 6'5". Do you know what I mean? It's not like a quick, like a Salah on the break. It's difficult.
Well, here's another thing. Another thing you do if you drop that line is already you have a midfield that can't keep up. You're making Gundogan run even more. He's like, fuck this.
You get more compact on you. The midfield and the defense all comes compact, which helps your midfield out. But then when you get the ball, it's like, okay, can you get us out now? Can you get us 40 yards up the field? And it's like, oh no, lads, I can't do that. I've been defending the box here for 6 minutes. I need 30 seconds to get a breath. I think it's so difficult, really is.
And really, their loss of Rodri really showed that Pep doesn't really have much options because now he's been playing Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne essentially as holding midfielders to cover for one guy, and it doesn't work. These guys need their freedom on and off the ball. They're not Rodri, so you can't use them as Rodri. But he's like, okay, hold on, can you be Rodri? Try no, okay, you do it. And Gundogan is just in between those two guys, and he's fucking lost. I don't know if you guys saw their Juventus game. That's the only game I watched all week, and like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
There's a part on me, right? And you are 100% correct. The manager doesn't help himself. So he makes 2 subs in the Juve game. He leaves Phil Foden on the bench and Kovacic on the bench. When your team is finished and they're running on gas, you've got to make the 5 changes. You've got to eventually... People are comparing this to the time when Van Dijk got injured. It's not that. It's last year. It's Liverpool last year. You get to the point where you need to trust the kids. You need to just go, I've got to trust them. For example, James McConnell and Bobby Clark, Jayden Dan, you've got to just trust them. For example, they've got like Jason McAtee, who looks like a tardy player when I've seen him. Simpson Pusey, the centre-half, looks like a bit of a kid. Looks like a bit of a... You just got to go and throw caution to the wind and go, I've got to trust these kids just to come bring some energy to the team. But he won't do it. No. That's his issue as well.
And isn't it funny that prior to the Arsenal game, he goes, I have to trust the kids. All the guys are out. And then he goes on and he starts every single player who was injured the week before that he claimed wasn't going to play. Like the stupidest bit of mind games ever, because everybody was like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Let the kids play. Yeah. And then he did it.
Your Champions League future's on the line. There's a serious conversation here where they might not even get in the playoff round. It's a serious...
don't they go to Atalanta next?
PSG away.
Oh, PSG away. That's what.
PSG are a point below them, out in the out positions. PSG are out. I'll be like, if I'm PSG, I'm licking my lips to go, we'll have a playoff with you then, lads. Do you know what I mean? We'll have a one-off game with you, and because you lads look gassed and we're our own. Do you know what I mean?
Neither can play for a draw on that one, really.
Exactly. Yeah, PSG have to win the game basically. So as much as I do feel sorry for City in a sense, I do think you have to also back the kids, and that's why Jurgen is a different level. Because what he did with the kids eventually and what he's got out of the kids, I think he has to get to a point. But again, you've got your Manchester derby, then you go to Villa away. It's like, fuck me, it doesn't stop. Do you know what I mean? City's next 6 are like, then you're playing Everton. I know you can laugh at Everton, by the way, they're playing Everton on Boxing Day in the early kickoff, and they might have a new manager because it's just been confirmed in the last hour that Everton have got new owners. So they might just go to Sean Dyche, short out, we're getting Graham Potter in, and before you know it, Everton look like a tardy prospect. Do you know what I mean? Then you're like, fuck me. It's just how circumstances can change for you. Do you know what I mean? And then I think they play Leicester away. And then in 2 weeks, Ruud might have them flying. Ruud could have Leicester flying because they've got some nice parts there. You know what I mean? I just think he's in a really big pickle here, lads. And I am actually changing my top 4 prediction. I don't think they're going to finish it.
I don't know. I think it's a little early. A little early for this too. Like, is he showing that he's nothing but a checkbook manager? I mean... I don't know. First of all, being a checkbook manager is not easy because there's a lot of guys with checkbooks and they don't win. So there's a lot of managers who have like huge checkbooks and they've never won. So you got to give him that to be able to manage that. I don't know about, I mean, like, it's almost like he's done this before. And that's one thing that Pep does, like compared to like, for example, Klopp. I think Slot is a bit more like this too, that will tweak things. But Pep sometimes like, overthinks himself and over tweaks and it will like just destroy things even worse. And I feel like he's constantly tinkering with things, trying to find it, and he can't. And instead of giving something another week forever to develop or whatever, he tinkers again. It's almost like a guy now. He's like, oh, why don't you go in over here then? Why don't you go in over here then?
I think it's a party, and I think this is important because when I brought this up on a previous podcast with Klopp and Pep, and Arteta's the same. I think sometimes Klopp can just go, when you get beat, he can just go, fucking hell, that's footy, lads. It happens. Whatever, move on, innit?
Yeah.
I don't think Pep can do that. I think Pep's like, no, something happened, something went wrong, and it has to be tactical, and I have to do this, or he was 5 yards wrong. And sometimes where Klopp could, and I've heard stories about Klopp after the Europa League final, when he walks into the boozer, and all the players are down, and he just goes, why are you all southall? I'll get on the dance floor. I'm having a bevy. That was great. Like, and that's footy, it happens. And I don't think Pep can do, it's footy, it happens. And just go, shit happens. I don't think he can do that. I think that's what mentally...
He can do that now. He was probably doing it after the first loss.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I think now it's like, I think he's getting to that stage. You know what I mean? I think that's what, by the way, I know we bring it in now. I think that's Klopp's biggest strength, was just to go, fucking hell, that's footy, innit? Fucking hell, look at us. Fucking hell, Luis Diaz's dad got kidnapped there. Fucking hell, that happened. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think Pep can do that. And I think that's why he
I
struggles.
think, yeah. Well, a big part of it. At first, let me say this. I know we joke and we may not love Pep, but I think he's one of the greatest managers ever. He checkbook manager. No, he just happens to manage the biggest clubs that happen to have a lot of money. Mourinho's not a checkbook manager either. Look at Porto and he won the Champions League. Look at his Chelsea team. I mean, Damien Duff was a superstar. How many of us could have thought about that if he had a different manager? So I don't want to say that they're checkbook managers. I just think Pep is a serial winner. And when you're a serial winner and you're obsessed with winning, losing just doesn't sit well with you. Here's the thing about Jurgen. He's lost so many finals that losing one more wasn't fucking piss him off. It was funny. He made a joke about it. He goes, I just lost another final. Oh, well, I'm used to that. I don't think Pep is a checkbook manager. I don't think any of that. I just think that he's been so used to winning and he wasn't in this spot before that it's starting to wear him down mentally. And the abuse that he's getting from fans is making it worse because now we clearly know that he's mentally weak and he doesn't know how to deal with that abuse. I mean, his rivalry with Real Madrid, we all know it, right? But even then, Real Madrid fans respect the shit out of him. For us, we're taunting him left and right. He's not used to it.
Yeah.
Lost the same amount of games as Fulham in the league.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's the thing. And I agree with Anan. I think it's a matter of not being used to losing. And when you're losing it, you kind of like, you're literally losing it at the same time. And like over tinkering, which causes, I really think it has caused them to lose even more. Like instead of going with the regular scheme, like changing things and stuff. I mean, long may it continue, but yeah, I agree with Anan. I mean, I think you're on the same page with this Kazi as well. The dude is a great manager, so you can hate on him all you want. Hate on City and hate on their charges and stuff like that, but hating on Pep, I just do not get that. Because like I say, he's only gone where, well, you know what?
That's who can afford him.
Because in most cases, those guys did not succeed. So he knows what he's doing. There's a skill to deal with.
I don't think he's ever been in this position. No one, it's him. I think that's what you're saying. He knows what to do, but has he ever been in this position?
Not in this position. I think he's been where, like when he first came to City, right? Like he's been there where he's going to be like, okay, it's going to take time. We're slowly building it. But this is totally different now. It was built and it collapsed. A rebuilds is a whole different thing than
it's new territory. He's never been there before. There was always a way to fix it for City. Sign the next big name. They can't do that now because everybody's looking at them. They can't sign the next big name because of all the charges against them. So they're playing it careful. As soon as these charges are done with, they're going to be found not guilty. They're going to be okay. And they're going to start re-signing all the names that they want. But until then, he's in panic because he's also wondering what the hell is going to happen to this club. I just committed my life to it. He came out yesterday and said, when I'm done with the City job, I'm done coaching. Yeah. So yesterday he gave them his full commitment plus never anything else after you because everybody's like, with the downfall of Manchester City, is Pep going back to Barcelona? No, he just made it clear yesterday. I'm done with football when I'm done with City.
He said club. International.
He said club football. Yeah. So Spain is very wide open.
Tuchel's got 18 months contract at England and goes, if I want to be loved by England, I win the World Cup.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Spain might be a no because of the Catalonia versus Spain issue for him because he's very Catalan. So that could be interesting. But regardless, this is a winner who's going through a rough patch, and the rough patch isn't even on him as much as it's a full effort of the club with the legal issues, the players that he has, the player that he trusts, and most importantly, he lost the best player in the world, whether you like it or not. Yeah. He's the best player in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And he lost him.
I think some of the downfall is exaggerated as well, and I don't think it's going to be as. That's why I know what you were saying, Kazi, but I don't know if I write him off of the top four yet because I can't find the fourth team to be able to.
I think Brighton could. I think if Brighton,
Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, or he's right, Brighton or Nottingham Forest. You can't tell me they haven't been playing beautiful football.
And he's 4 points off 10th.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's my thing. Like, 2 months from now, who do you bet on playing better, City or Forest?
It's not Forest, it's Brighton, I think.
Brighton is probably, but I still would put more money on. If you're a betting man, which one are you?
If you're a Brighton fan, you must be fucking pulling your hair out with the teams you drop points to this season. And
no shit.
Honestly, I think is it Wolves and Southampton and Ipswich you've got points to?
Yeah.
And you're just like, they were 2-0 up against one of them last week and drew 2-2. It's just, and I think you can really fancy yourself, but.
You brought this up because obviously Anan has not watched this. Tell the audience and Anan what Lamina did Kazi put it into words what Lamina did in that game.
He had a little bit of a run-in at the end of the game after getting beat by West Ham. Let's just say a little bit of a run-in. He wanted murder with all the players, including his own players. There was a bit of pushing and shoving, and it said, so he's lost the captaincy on the back of it, which I don't know I don't know how I feel about it. I want to see a player with my passion. I want to see a player like with passions boiling over sometimes, because it means that you care and you give a fuck. You know what I mean? I don't want to see the players just getting off and clapping like that and go, okay, let's get off now. I want to see players holding other players to account and holding them accountable for their performances. Did it boil over? Yes. But I probably still walk in and go, I on the Monday morning and go, yeah, I like that. I like that. And you need to, boiled over, but you need to keep the standards up and get these standards back in this club. So I think stripping in the captaincy, Lil Ash. I also think he's their best player, apart from Kuna.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how is that helping him? How is that helping?
Wait, I'm sorry.
I think when you take an action like that, you kind of like really throwing a stink bomb in that locker room, aren't you?
He dragged Jared Bowen on the floor?
Yeah, so they went all straight down. Lamina didn't want it. And then he threw him, and they were just having a little push and a pull and a little throw, and just kid stuff.
It was 1 week I missed.
Frustration. Yeah, I mean, I understand what Kazi is saying. You do want that fight back. I don't want somebody just saying like, "Wow, that sucks," and then walk off. But it has to be semi-controlled. I don't want it fully controlled either, but it has to be semi-controlled.
They're also playing Ipswich away this weekend. That's a massive game of footy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
That is a ginormous game of footy for both footy clubs, and it's just written in the stars. He scores the winner, doesn't he? It's just absolutely written in the stars. He's definitely scoring the winner. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's that's how football works.
Did you get anything for that from the Premier League though? Like any suspension or anything?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, I'm not sure.
I find that shocking because I was like, "There's going to be a lot coming out of this."
I thought Bowen would have got one as well because I thought there was a little bit of 6 or 1 half a dozen as well. I don't know. Footy, it's boiled over. But I think he's their best midfielder. I still think I think he's really good. I like Lamina a lot. So it's weird, man. But sticking with the captaincy, maybe there's something that other players feel in the dressing room, like he's not, they don't like him maybe, or he's not really respect. I don't know.
Unless there was something already brewing behind the scenes, and this was like the last thing, the last straw kind of a deal. I can kind of see that. But let's get to our game real quick. Obviously, you didn't get to watch it on I don't think the Girona game, but I mean, Slot has made it very clear in the post-match and in the pre-match today that he was not happy with how we played overall. He's like, I think I read like 5 different quotes from him, like finding it hard to get positives out of that, aside from some desperate defending. But there's something to be said about winning when you're not at your best in a Champions League away game. So he did mention that as well. How do you think that carries on to the Fulham game, Anan? Because like he clearly was not happy with how many chances we gave up, because we did give a lot. I mean, it was enough to say, yes, Ali is the best goalkeeper in the world. Good to have this guy back.
As far as I read all over social media, is that Ali was essentially man of the match, and he's made some big saves. So that's good to have him back. And I think with the manager coming out and saying, okay, we weren't at our best, tells the guys, I need to see more from you next game. So I think we'll have an explosive game. And, we don't have it's not necessarily an easy game coming up. So it is a good, it's a good game to have an explosive game in. And I really can't say much because I didn't watch a minute of it. And I just now found out our goal was a penalty. So so I really don't know much.
As you guys know, Anan has had a lot going on. So he was kind of like out of the action and world for like a week or so over here. So just coming back. And what do you think, Kazi? Like, does it affect? Because it's not even like he can say, this guy didn't perform, let me swap. And this was pretty much our starting 11 for the most part. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be more of an attitude or tactical adjustment as opposed to like name adjustment.
First time that back 5 has started together in 2.5 years. That's one thing. Number 2, Alexis McAllister was suspended. Liverpool's best midfielder.
Oh yeah, McAllister was.
He's going to be tomorrow too. So that.
He only kicked the football for 2 weeks. He's definitely playing 90 against Southampton in that League Cup. Definitely.
Why is he not playing tomorrow?
He's the yellow card. He was going to be suspended for the Everton game, but since that got postponed, he's suspended for this one.
Yeah. So
5 yellows.
Basically. He wouldn't kick the ball for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't play Everton. Yes, the game was postponed.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just totally different planet over here. Just
I keep forgetting that.
But I just think these are, yes, Liverpool didn't play great, but I mentioned on the Thursday show yesterday, if you would have offered me a Liverpool win, a clean sheet, no new injuries, would you have took it?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. So it was nice for Ali to get a clean sheet. It was nice for probably that back five. He might be the back five going forward, because I don't think Kanate might get back in if Gomez plays really well, because I don't want to see Kanate get rushed back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not into that. So it could be the back five for the next 8 weeks. So I would like that back five to get clean sheets, and they got one. So, and as much as in terms of they didn't play for 6 days, the team, so there's no really excuse about fitness or lack of. I just think, and as I mentioned it yesterday, that was Girona's biggest ever football match in their history. Was yesterday. Sorry, on Tuesday. That was their biggest ever game. They can play Real Madrid in Barcelona, but it's definitely their biggest ever game in Europe as Liverpool at home.
yeah.
And we need to take that into consideration. And they played well. And I think sometimes you need to acknowledge that. And we never do as rival fans because we're biased. And it's okay to be biased because we're all Liverpool fans. And it's okay to be biased on a biased podcast. But I just think sometimes you need to acknowledge when a team plays well. And Girona play well, and they caused us problems. So.
And I think it's the opposite on our part. I mean, it was their biggest game, and they were all gung-ho, and we were like, I guess we have to play this one. You kind of almost like sense that attitude, right? You know, trying to go about it in the same professionalism. It's not like they were like lackadaisical or anything like that, but you could kind of tell the sense of urgency was definitely with Girona. Obviously, they're home as well, but it's meant more to them. They wanted it more on paper, but we're just still a better team and was able to win at the end.
There's 2 things here. Number one, they had to win to kind of stay in the Champions League hunt. So there's that. And number 2, I actually think if Girona would have scored in the first 20, Liverpool would have scored 5. I think it was that type of game of, they would have woke us up and kicked
just need to be woken up. Yeah, that's fair.
We're losing here. Bang, and just everyone would have said bang, bang, and then it would have been 2 quick fire goals and Liverpool would have got control again. That's what it felt like to me. They kind of played within themselves. But I also felt like when Liverpool scored, which I don't think was a pen, by the way, when Liverpool scored, 15 minutes before it, we were excellent. We were really good after the second half for 15 minutes. Then the goal was coming. Van Dijk was playing 40 yards from their goal. We pinned them in, pressed them. You know, we were so as much as it wasn't a great overall 90. I thought for 20 we were unbelievable, and the pressure just told, and a silly tackle in the box.
I guess that's my only concern for tomorrow. Is over the last 2 games I've seen, like Real was the same way, where we turned it into a basketball match for a little bit, which was not happening before. It kind of went back to, I mean, you saw the Real game, for example, and so I felt like the Girona game was like that at times. It was played on both goals way too much, whereas Slot does like it played in the middle where we control the midfield and control the ball. I guess that's my fear against Fulham, because if you open it up too much, Fulham is a team that can hurt you with some of the players they have. So it has to be more of a controlled game and not having McAllister, because I feel like, is the key to that control. I know we always talk about Gravenberg, but some of the things McAllister does where he can kind of slow everything down and control the ball with one quick touch and like one quick turn and stuff. We're going to be missing that tomorrow. What do you expect to see tomorrow, Anand, against Fulham?
I think in the league, I expect the club to still be looking to bounce back from the Newcastle draw. I think that's what's on their head now. I think Girona Champions League, that's out of the way, undefeated, quote unquote, in the Champions League. So no issue. It's the Newcastle game that you got to bounce back from, whether it's the last minute mistake, whether it's just the silly goals we allowed to happen. I think that's what we're looking at. That's why I'm saying, I think the manager coming out and saying, I'm not happy with the performance, knowing that it was our best 11, apparently. So, you come out and you're saying to your best 11, I'm not happy with that performance, right after that Newcastle game where we thought we won it till we didn't. I think the club comes out, the team comes out to put a statement performance. And I like those. I like those a lot. It's one of those games where like, they have done it. They're back, one of those games. And I think that's what we might see. Now, here's the thing. Fulham are not an easy side that you're just going to go on and put 4, 5, 6, whatever against. This is why it's interesting. I think Fulham's been playing okay football. And I've been paying attention to Smith Rowe. He's been playing so well for Fulham. He's actually been.
He was good for Arsenal, really, too.
Yeah, but... and he's playing quite well for Fulham. And I think this is a team that we need to keep an eye on, not to win anything, or I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying this is one of the teams. The usual Liverpool drops points to Fulham's when they're playing this way. So that's what worries me. So I think it's a bounce back game from the Newcastle game. Take out the Girona game and just think the Newcastle game. Now this is our bounce back.
So the only thing I disagree is I think you can put 4 or 5 on Fulham because they do play very undisciplined. But if you're putting 5 on them, it's probably a game, Kazi, that's like 5-3 or 5-2 or something like that. But they play very naive and they leave themselves open in the back. But at the same time, they're very dangerous going forward.
You can't let them take the lead. That's the worst thing you can do is let this team take the lead because they were very good last week against Arsenal. Very disciplined and very good when they took the lead. And I will give them full credit for that. Arsenal didn't really create anything from open play. I know Arsenal usually don't. But that, that's their thing. But they were very good and disciplined. And I do think it's going to be a really hard game. I don't think it's going to be easy at all, this game. And I think the lack of McAllister is really punishing. The one massive positive I have for this type of game is Harvey Elliott having more minutes, because I do think it could be that kind of tricky type of small little pass inside that could open them up. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of, I'm not saying I'll start him. I would start Szoboszlai, but I would only give Szoboszlai an hour probably and give Harvey 30 if it's going that type of way where we're not really creating much and they're very pinned in. It's 5-4-1 and they're playing on the counter kind of thing. To get Elliott in those pockets of spaces where he's a bit cuter and a bit cleverer, and we all know how Szoboszlai is on the ball. So it's like that, getting that type of player, I think could really open it up for us. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you guys know me. I worry, but go ahead, Anand.
Yeah, no, but I worry just because I was trying to make sure. You look at Fulham, took points at Arsenal.
I know.
Took points at Spurs. Lost that strange one to Wolves, but everything other than that, they've been winning.
Beat Brighton 3-1 last week. Beat Brighton 3-1. Good win. No?
Yeah. So it's not like, I'm not saying they're, best team out there, but I'm saying this isn't a team that you're just going to go out there and be like, all right, let's smack them around.
Listen, mate, the 2 points off 5th. That's a good sign. They're 2 points off 5th.
And that's a club that's going to go out there to win because they're 2 points off 5th. You know what? Let's get in the top 5, then let's get into the top 4, whatever it may be. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah.
If Fulham finish in the Conference League, they could be the favourites for it. And that's genuine because the players that they've got. You know what I mean? Like Jimenez and stuff like that. The good players, man. There's solid players. I'm a big Anderson fan. The one thing I would say, though, is that I think they've got the 2 injured centre-halves. I think Bassey's injured and Anderson is injured.
Bassey is injured, yes.
Yeah, so they're on the 3rd and 4th choice centre-halves, which is, timing is nice for Liverpool.
Do you expect the same? Are we expecting the same lineup that we saw against Girona then?
Yeah, we haven't got a choice, have we? The only choice.
I mean, you can have Gakpo start on the left wing.
But that's the only conversation we can have. The back 5 picks itself. The midfield picks itself.
The back 5, midfield you can't do a whole lot. Up top, who does? I mean, obviously Mo.
I would do Diaz down the middle, but I understand why he won't. But I would also say I would do Diaz down the middle because and that's not me hating on Darwin. I prefer Darwin off the bench, but I also would say Darwin's got to play full 90 against Southampton. So I would have that in the back of my mind. I had this chat yesterday on the Thursday show. I think you pick this team on the back of what you'll pick and get Southampton. I think you pick your Southampton team first and then pick the Fulham team second. I'll tell you why. You've got to get a team out to Southampton somewhere. I think he does, for example, I think he does Gomez right back at Southampton. I think he does Kwanzaa, Van Dijk, Robertson. His midfield, I think he does Endo, McAllister, Elliott at Southampton. I think that's his midfield. And then I think he goes, Salah can do an hour. I think I can do Darwin, Gakpo. And then on the hour mark, I can put Elliott right wing.
I think for Southampton, looks like Chiesa is going to be back.
I think that's what he's got to do. And then I know the front 8 picks itself. It's the front 3 that we're worried about. But I think that's what he has to do. He has to work backwards in these two games because he has said that Jota and Chiesa are 5th. And they will be available for this game, which is important because that also says that if you're working backwards here, Tim, and this is my analogy here, and I think that's what managers do, by the way. You go, can I get an hour out of Chiesa to Southampton? Can I get an hour out of Jota to Southampton? Do you know what I mean? And then that could pick your team for Fulham. Do you know what I think that's how managers do most games. I really do.
I would think, I don't know, like because of the Southampton game, I would think you would kind of focus on this one and then, but I understand what you're saying with an eye on the other one. Lee was asking, by the way, he is suspended. He got the 5th yellow, same as McAllister, basically the 5th yellow suspension.
Gravenberch has got one left.
Yellow against Arsenal.
Gravenberch has got one left. And this is why it's very important because I want Gravenberch away at Southampton. Sorry, away at Spurs. Yeah. I need him away at Spurs. And that's why he has a big... This is the thing about working backwards. So can he only do an hour if he's had no booking and go to Szoboszlai playing deeper? And we're getting Elliott on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? I think it's...
Here's the thing. I mean, when we were talking about the front three, I can see Nunez starting only because based on the press conference, sounds like Jota will be on the bench.
Yes.
It sounded like Jota will be good. Might be a bit early for Chiesa. I take that as saving Chiesa for the Southampton game. I mean, because Lee is saying we need to rotate as much as possible in the Southampton game. I mean, yes. And here's the thing. We only won 3-2 over there, but this will be a totally different game. What I like is when we rotate now, I think you're not suddenly putting people out there who never played, because I think he does the substitutions. One thing I like about Slot is he does do a lot more substitutions. People are getting 20 here, 15 there. So you're not putting them out there cold. I mean, we've had some like League Cup games where we put in 11. Yeah, they're rested, but they're almost like too rested. They haven't played for like months. So you don't want that either. I kind of like that everybody is in the rhythm in some ways when they go out there and play. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think we all agree. That we need Gravenberch for Southampton. Spurs away. We all agree that needs to happen. So there has to be a conversation on the hour mark to go, he can't be booked. You get him off, you get him to Spurs, and you get him booked against Spurs and get him suspended for Leicester at home. I think that's his best way out of jail in the next couple of weeks. They have the fresh start for Gravenberch, for West Ham away, United and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I think that's his way home here. He has to get him booked versus Spurs, whatever he does. I hope he scores the winner.
The way he plays, I hope
it's the 94th minute. He scores the winner and takes his shirt off.
Is he a yellow away from suspension?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what? It carries over to the League Cup. So what? It doesn't.
No, it's in the league.
If he gets sent off for 2 yellows, he gets a 1-match ban. It resets. He'll be suspended for Southampton.
Jesus.
So there's an argument if you clean it up and he's on a yellow to go, hey, another yellow card doesn't go and miss you.
Give us a paqueta real quick and get a yellow.
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing though. If he does get a yellow, then I mean, going back to what Lee was saying, you probably go to Southampton. You're gonna play McAllister, who hasn't kicked the ball in like 2 weeks.
You may as well play Gravenberch.
And then you're gonna play probably Gravenberch, so you're gonna control midfield.
That's why you're working out from. That's why I think you get your 11 for Southampton or close to it, and then go backwards and say, what can I do in Fulham? I think that's how managers work anyway. I really do. But it'd be interesting, man. It really is. But we have to get Gravenberch on the pitch for Spurs away.
Yes, that's. I mean, let's get these 3 points first, because I
want to see Jota play. That's what I want. I want a pure striker. I want to finish.
Probably see Jota play for 20-30 minutes tomorrow. I noticed you don't want to see Nunez play anymore. What happened?
Actually, no. Nunez is going to start. We have no choice. Nunez starts, but I want to see Jota. Well, we can go with the Diaz up front, but you want that big body of Nunez in the box in hopes of something happening. But I do want to see Jota at least get 25-30 minutes so we can get him ready for whether it's Southampton or Spurs. I do want Jota playing because we do want – now is the time where we can't miss chances. We don't want the last year to happen where our chances cost us the league. We need to score those chances. I think Jota would be good. I think giving Chiesa a shot up top, if he's fit for more than 4 minutes, could be something we should look into.
I think while the midfield the way it is, Chiesa coming in to play that 8 role because we only have Szoboszlai who can run. And that's no disrespect to Harvey. Harvey can do what he likes, but he hasn't got the physical attributes of the Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
And by the looks of the stuff that you see out of Chiesa through his career, he looks like he's a powerful runner. And that could really be helpful in our midfield right now. But that's why Chiesa's.
We only saw 10 minutes, Kazi. I mean,
I said
didn't get to see the game.
Throughout his career, I thought he was great in the Euros for Italy when they won it.
I was going to ask you about Elliott, actually.
Oh, Elliott. I mean, I think Elliott could be massive in this. I want to see Elliott.
Do you see him fitting, though, in that Szoboszlai role based on what you saw?
All day, yeah.
Really? Okay. I was like, when I saw that, I'm like, man, the lack of speed and physicality, I don't know if it's going to hurt.
In certain games, I wouldn't, away from home. Okay. But I think in home games, when you're playing a Fulham at home or a Leicester at home and you're trying to break someone down, I think Elliott's key.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? But away from home against Spurs, maybe even Elliott as well, because they're so wide open. But I also would like a powerful runner away from home. I think every away game, Szoboszlai has to start. Because of his running ability.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's a lot of Jota haters. Come on, Sparky.
Like
Matush is like hacked into everybody's thing. Okay, on the way out, let's do some predictions for tomorrow. Anan, let's start with you.
I'll go 3-1.
Nice special. Okay.
I'll go 2-1. I think it's going to be really, really hard this
I
game.
hate it when you say that.
I know.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I think it's going to be really, really difficult. 2-1 Liverpool.
I'll go with the 3-1 because it will make me feel better and sleep easier. So I'll go with the 3-1 as well. It's odd that we are all kind of like giving them a goal. Ultimately,
they're a good team, though. It's because they're a good team.
Yeah.
That's the respect that you're giving them. But the one concern is, though, if I'm Fulham, if Liverpool score in the first 10 and you're on your third and fourth tree centre half, it could be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So based on what's been going on this season, every time they score, Fulham, they either sit down and defend really well or they open it wide. So against City, they scored and then they opened out wide.
That's one thing with Fulham. But I mean, hey, that City game, if Kazi's boy Traore could finish, like he could have been on a hat trick and he couldn't finish that game to put that game away, really.
That's the thing as well. If they're playing on the counter tomorrow, you start Traore and go, you're going to get at Trent and play on the left wing. You're going to cut in on your right foot and get at Trent and see what you can do.
It was when they played Wolves. I think, it was at Wolves, and they scored one, and then they conceded two right after they scored. Two within like 8 minutes, and then the third.
Kunis is unbelievable, isn't it? The Kuna goal is a joke. At Fulham, so good. But again,
really
that's
like
what quality can do in the league. And I think it's a really hard game, gents. I really do. And again, I don't know what centre halves they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do defensively. I just think they're really organised. They're really mobile. They've got a lot of big lads in there, and I just think it could be a really big struggle for us.
Are we playing Leicester soon?
Boxing Day.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have been seeing what Ruud has done with the team, but I actually think he's a good manager.
Okay, let's not get excited.
Listen, Connor Cody hasn't kicked
1 week. Like Amorim comes in, like they got the right guy. He loses.
It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. It's 2 games of Ruud, and the team already looks different. He took 2 big decisions.
Okay, it's
he dropped Fias, their starting center back, and he recalled Connor Cody back, who hasn't kicked the ball for Leicester. And then Bilal El-Khannous, he plays him, gets the winner. I mean, he dropped their 10. But Mavdidi?
Yeah, Mavdidi, yeah.
He dropped him. I mean, I'm not saying he's the biggest genius in the world, but
new manager bounce, fella. We'll see.
Yeah, the new manager bounce is in full effect for Leicester.
Well, Leicester should when managers come over in like 2 weeks. People like Anand come out and was like, "This guy is good." I mean, he just came.
Listen,
Amorim played over there. Why don't you come in and play? He's gonna haul his ass. In 3 weeks, you're gonna be like, "Oh, this is why Cody wasn't playing."
Listen. Look at Amorim. Just look at Amorim. Just look at him. Amorim. Look at him with Manchester. Is there a new manager bounce? Absolutely not. They're dog shit.
There was the first 2 weeks.
They drew their first game.
They're already playing a lot more disciplined, and then they
dog
look
shit.
forward. They're like, it's the same shit.
I will say, in terms of this new manager bounce thing, he has only played Brighton and West Ham. Brighton right now. But what I'm saying about Brighton are dropping points against the teams who are lower down. I will say that. And West Ham are absolutely dog shit. But he has Newcastle away tomorrow.
Just wait for Julian Lopetegui to come back. Just wait. New manager bounce.
I'm really excited to see Connor Cody in a foot race with Isaac tomorrow. I'm super excited for that race.
Oh, that is going to look good. Real good. Isaac's going to moonwalk and Connor Cody's still trying to catch him.
Yeah, let's see what happens. As long as we win, I don't give a damn what Ruud and Leicester does, but hopefully they don't, because I want to hear Anand next fucking Friday. But have a great Friday, everybody. We'll see you guys for the pre-match tomorrow once the lineup comes out. We'll see you then. Have an excellent Friday. Take care.